We are back again at 7 p.m. Huge shout out to y'all last week because we had 8,000 live, which is the most I've ever had. It was crazy. I think the chat got a little wild. Graham was telling me I'm still not able to like see because I have my notes and all the other things going on. So I'm having trouble keeping up with like the feed. But I guess it got a little rowdy. I'm not sure if it was really at me or at Graham, but he had my back. And I always laugh because I know it's bad when you hear or see Graham write something like, well, that is my wife. So like with the kids, you can hear him say, that's my wife. Don't talk to her that way. You know you've crossed the line. So I think that's great. So appreciate you always, babe, for having my back. And I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all are amazing. I know you have my back too. So that's awesome. Want to jump in. I'm supposed to say like, comment, share. I'm going to get that out of the way. So please leave a comment. It really helps me out. Like, share this episode, especially I'm actually really excited about because we're going to be talking about electronics and our young men and how we're failing them, and then also what we can do. So my nugget is actually also going to be the question that was asked by several of you, which we will get into. But first, let's just talk. How has your week been? My little ear mic is falling out. My week has been like purgatory, honestly. We have all had the flu and we can't seem to get rid of it. And so if I am hacking as well, I'm terribly sorry. But we are just, it's like one kid gets it and the other kid gets it and then the other and the other. And I'm like, if this repeats, I'm going to lose my mind. And you know, if you're a mom, throw some American flags. And if you're a mom and everyone's sick, you just have to, like a zombie, you have to still cook and they still want to play when they're feeling better, talking about my toddler. And you still have to do all the things and wash all the sheets and disinfect everything. And then another one gets sick, you're like, I gotta do it again, no matter how you feel. So if you're a mom, throw some American flags in. We keep it going. Also, Graham is amazing. He's an amazing husband, so it's not like he is on death's door not doing anything. But I know you mamas get it. So it has just been a wild ride of just sickness around here. And I feel like it's the Titanic. It's been 84 years. Like, will this ever end? But hopefully we're on the up and up, I pray, and it's going to be okay. Okay, I am going to first address some of the questions that were asked because y'all have asked questions constantly about Erica, and so I don't honestly sometimes know what else to say, but I'm going to play you this clip. We're just going to start it going because I have a lot to talk about, and we're going to roll from there. So it may get a little wild today. Just keep up with me because, again, I want to share a lot of things with you about our young men and how I'm seeing video games, social media, and different things affect and impact their brain. And so I'm going to jump around a little bit, but again, y'all can do it. Hang with me, and we're going to kind of roll fast. But first, this question came in. She did not want me to name her name, so I will just say Jane Doe from Florida. She said, how could I possibly still support Erica Kirk with all the facts? She didn't do that. I did, little quotation marks. All the facts coming out about her, and now Iran happening. And also, what a joke for her to be on the Air Force Academy board. So I'm just gonna play you a clip here, and I feel like this kind of says it all to me. You can just have a listen.
Than that. I am now of the opinion that he was likely sacrificed. And I want to tell you why I got there. You guys know, if you're a part of my book club, I've been doing a lot of research into Freemasonry. About a month ago, while we took a break to prepare for our Bride of Charlie series, someone sent me this. I'm showing you, this is what they sent me in the mail. Something that is known as a Freemason Bible.
$25 Bible.
Now, I knew that these existed because of my studying Sigmund Freud and looking into the fact that he had inherited one from his father. The backstory of this one in particular came with a handwritten letter, is that a 33rd degree Freemason out in Oklahoma died, and all of his belongings were left in a home that was eventually auctioned.
We're not going to listen to all this because it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. So if you are behind the times, let me sum it up for you. Erica Kirk conspired with Freemasons and the TPUSA leadership team to get an Israeli assassin to kill her husband so that she could take charge of the turning point and then go to war with Iran. Honestly, if Erica somehow managed to pull that all off, she should be in charge of everything. But I don't know if y'all remember Occam's razor, but basically it says that sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. And I just feel like, how are y'all still listening to this? Like, and it's not, it's everyone. I have friends who are still writing me like, there's just something I don't trust about Erica. Okay, do you know her? No? Okay, shut up. Like, it's kind of gotten wild, and you're listening to Candyland over here. Please stop drinking the juice. Come up for air. Please breathe with the rest of us again, okay? Please, because it's getting crazy. So we're going to take it off Candyland. I don't really have anything else to say about that. If you are still following and listening to her, I implore you to please stop or go back to my what is a demonic spirit, because honestly, like, I don't know how you are still paying attention to her. Every week or every day is something else. And again, just come up for air, people. All right. Here's my nugget. It's actually, again, going to be my main topic. We're going to spend a lot of time on this. A few people have asked me this question specifically. It's about parenting surrounding gaming addictions, and specifically with boys. So we're talking about boys today. Obviously, some of the principles I'm going to say apply to girls, but we're focusing on the boys. And someone else wrote in, how do we do limits? Because it is where all his friends are. And that's a valid question. And me and Graham, look, everything I'm telling y'all, we have grappled with this. I have two teenage sons, one who loves gaming, one who could, take it or leave it. A lot has to do with personalities, right? I mean, not everybody loves football. Some people love football. It's kind of the same principle with gaming. However, they're asking, like, what do we do? Because it is like where their friends connect. And so the one lady in particular was saying that she feels bad removing that, because that is how he connects with his friends and his peers. And that is a very good, that's a good observation. Again, we've been there. So I'm going to try to address all of that somehow very quickly. All right, first of all, though, this is not good video quality. I apologize for that, but I have to play this because if you are a boy mom, okay, please, as you're watching, just throw up some thumbs up, like, yep, we got this. I saw the funniest one. Well, let me play this, and then I'll tell it. No, stop. So there's parenting, and then there's parenting. Nobody's gonna slow me down. Whole different breed of amazing. And it is never, ever a dull moment with boys. So I have two, if you don't know, they're my two oldest. I have a 15-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy. They are actually Irish twins. Yes, you heard right. I found out I was pregnant with my second Gunner when Gage was 2 months old. You ask, how is that possible? I don't know. You don't have a lot to do in Mississippi, I guess. But it is what it is. So they are actually the same age for 10 days. So they are in different grade levels, which is great, but they are the same age for 10 days. So it's kind of wild. But I understand being a mom of boys and girls, but again, we're talking about boys. And it is a different breed. And it should be, because boys and girls are made differently, and that's okay. That's by design. But we're going to get into this. All right, I'm going to show you this first. And please, again, you stay with me. I promise you it's all going to come full circle. So if you're like, where is she going with some of this stuff? It's going to come around, okay? So I'm going to share with you. I actually did this. This is on my X account. Not this, because I have to share the right tab. There you go. This is fatherless homes in America. So nearly 1 in 4 children live without a father in the home. It's about 18 million kids with fathers in the home. You see the purple. Without fathers in the home, that's 25% of that. Okay. There is a steady rise over time. So 1960s, 11%, all the way up now. This is a 2025. We're at 25%. Single parent homes, single mothers, that consists of 80%, and single fathers, 20%. So poverty risk, it goes down. It kind of goes through it. You can look at it. Why is this relevant? I told you, it's going to come full circle, but we need to be aware that one of the main problems in the home right now is the fact that daddies aren't around. I think and Grandma's talked about this, and I stand fully in agreement with my husband about the breakdown of the nuclear family, and that is where the devil has absolutely been winning in our society, 100%. He knows that dads and strong men who lead are so important to the life of a young man, and that if he can break that down, then he can wreak havoc on generations. And boy, have we seen that coming true. So I want you to keep this in your mind as we go from here. So what we see are boys who are not maturing, now becoming fathers, and those who are supposed to be protecting women, children, are now actually, there's a rise, and those are actually the ones who are harming or abusing. And why is that? So we have to pour into our young men and address this ongoing issue, because my heart is prevention, right? Of course, I want justice, but for those who obviously abuse or anything in that nature, but how do we prevent it, right? How do we make sure our sons do not fall in that? How do we make sure our girls don't marry those men? We need men to become real men, right? So with saying real men, I'm going to show you another clip just to plant it in your head there. This is Pastor Mark Driscoll.
And fathers, parent,
Whoop,
it takes a man to raise a man. If you allow the government to raise your son, you will not have a man. And fathers parent differently than mothers.
True.
The problem that we have is an entire soft, weak, woke, cowardly, passive, indifferent, fearful generation that has been over-mothered and under-fathered. That is the problem.
If you agree with Pastor Mark Driscoll, throw some American flags in the chat. If you don't, I would love to hear why. I do lean to Mark on this one because men need men just like women need women. The Bible even does that, right? Women teach women, men teach men. And what we are seeing is a lack of that across the board. So yes, I do agree with Mark Driscoll on this one. Love to know your thoughts. Please throw them in the chats and share. All right, multitasking here. Okay. So there's one issue, which we're going to circle back to. Now we're going to jump. So jump with me. We're going to talk about dopamine hits, okay? This is where your gaming and social media comes in. I'm going to show you this video because I thought it broke it down very nicely instead of me just droning on about dopamine and how it affects the brain. This is a quick hit that I want to share with you. I told you we were moving fast today, but there's so much to cover in this, and I think it's such an important topic, especially to parents, caregivers, teachers, anyone that works with young men. Okay. Let me share your screen. Hey, I feel like I'm getting better. All right, here we go.
Social media sites being used by 1/3 of the entire world, they've clearly had a major influence on society. But what about our bodies? Here are 5 crazy ways that social media and the internet are affecting your brain right now. Can't log off? Surprisingly, 5 to 10% of internet users are actually unable to control how much time they spend online. Though it's a psychological addiction as opposed to a substance addiction, brain scans of these people actually show a similar impairment of regions that those with drug dependence have. Specifically, there's a clear degradation of white matter in the regions that control emotional processing, attention, and decision making. Because social media provides immediate rewards with very little effort required, your brain begins to rewire itself, making you desire these stimulations, and you begin to crave more of this neurological excitement after each interaction. Sounds a little like a drug, right?
Sounds a little like a drug, right? We're not going to listen to all of it, but I wanted to share that because that, I think, does a really good job of kind of explaining why you're seeing more and more of the gaming addiction. So, and it is an addiction. So, what is dopamine? Dopamine is the brain's reward chemical, right? So, small rewards, if you are scrolling on social media, it can come through likes, through notifications, through instant. Every time a new scroll or a new, like it automatically does it now. It's just, this video ends, another one happens, oop, a new hit. Winning a game, all these things are just dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. You're even seeing it in like babies. That's a whole other topic that we'll get to another day. But it trains the brain to expect constant stimulation. So when the brain gets constant small dopamine hits, it stops recognizing big moments as special. So what does this mean? Very glad you asked. I think you hear it even from kids today. You hear, why do our years start to blur together? I've heard that often, but even from children now. Whereas back in the day when things were a little slower, right, you were bored sometimes. So then if you went somewhere, then it was exciting, or, that was a dopamine hit for you. Well, now with all the electronics, all the gaming, again, it's a constant hit. And so instead of high things being high anymore, it kind of is like this. So I'm going to play this video, which again, I thought he did a really good job of explaining this. There you go. Of why, and this is talking about kind of for an older, but this is just as effective. Use it in the context for what we are talking about.
Remember when summer holidays as a kid felt endless? Now whole months disappear before you even notice. Here is the neuroscience why time speeds up as we age. When you are young, everything feels like it's new. Your first bike ride, your first day at school, even walking down a new street you haven't walked down before. Your brain is paying attention and is flooding you with dopamine, which tells the hippocampus to store all the little details that you just learned into your memories. Looking back, time feels full because your brain packed it with memories. As you age, life gets a bit more repetitive, unfortunately. Same routines, same place, same street, routine day at work. Your brain stops treating it as something worth remembering. With fewer novel memories being written down, the weeks blur together, and all of a sudden, a year has passed. What's the takeaway here? Time doesn't actually move faster. Your brain just records less of it, which means the more novelty that you create, learning new skills, traveling, learning, the slower life feels when you look back at it.
I thought this was a really
Here's a fun one. Guys, pretend like you're
I don't know what that is. I thought this was another good one. Just again, talking about dopamine and the brain and how it affects memories, even core memories, which you hear a lot of our generation, our parents, like, we want core memories. We got to build those core memories. And I'm all about a good core memory. But what if we're having trouble building core memories because of things like electronics, because of things like gaming? These are things that we need to consider as parents because we are not called to be our children's best friend. I hope that one day we are best friends. And I love hanging out with my kids. I love my kids. But we're called to raise them to be men and women who are warriors for God, who have purpose, who are fulfilled, and who have joy. Not happiness, that comes and goes. Life's hard. But who have joy. And that is our mission. And so sometimes it is setting new boundaries, which is hard, but they're needed. Okay. So again, ever since COVID, I have heard this feels like one long year. So the neurological reason behind that is what you just heard. So it shows our brains are wired to seek joy and dopamine, those chemical rewards that come when we experience something exciting, meaningful, or new. So dopamine helps motivate us, and it also plays a role in how we encode our memories. Okay, here's the catch. When the brain is constantly getting those hits, like we just talked about all day long, from all the things we just discussed, notification, constant short videos, social media, gaming, the brain starts to treat those rewards as just background noise, as normal. So big experiences like going to Universal Studios, getting a new house, even riding a bike when you were younger, those things don't create strong memory markers anymore because they're being flooded and inundated with it all day long. So again, a high right here. So say this is a high from a gaming experience. This is a high from Universal. It's on the same plane level, which should terrify you because that means our whole thing of we want to make good core memories, which you should, could be on the same length as a game or as social media. And that should make you pause and step back and look at, okay, what do we need to do about this? So they may not be making a memory marker at all. And that makes my heart so sad. So instead of our lives being made up of distinct, memorable chapters, days do start to blend together. And then, of course, you add COVID into the question, like I just said. And during the pandemic, when you just had normal routines totally disrupted, many people stayed home, social interactions were at an all-time low, days all started to look similar. The brain experienced long stretches of routine with no novelty, no memory. The memory formation ended up starting to weaken. And so now you have all these generation, our babies, our kids' generation, with that year weakening their formation. And so add that now into all the dopamine and the electronics. Kids were on more electronics during that time. You were even doing school straight from there. you can start to see why, okay, yeah, that could create a problem. So this is why some of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves and our families are actually really simple. You put the phone down sometimes. You make eye contact. You engage with your children. Make them get off the phone at dinner. If you don't have dinner together, start doing that. These are little things that you can do that will improve and help those memory markers. Go somewhere new. Learn a new hobby. Experience something meaningful with them. It's those memories that start to stand out. Okay, I hope I'm flying through this. This is like tip of the iceberg stuff, but I have to get to all the points I want to get to today. I hope you kind of understand now how dopamine works in the brain and how it affects your children who are scrolling, who are on games, constant 24/7, inundated with this stuff. In fact, it actually says, if you look it up, you're only supposed to, teenage boys only supposed to have 2 to 3 hours a day of electronics and gaming. And that should probably slap you in the face because most of our American teenage boys are not. They're staying on for hours and hours on end. I'm not telling you what to do with your kids. I'm giving you facts, and then we're going to walk through this some more. Okay, that's dopamine. Put that in a box over here, and we're going to shift. If you're still with me, do a thumbs up, like, okay, I'm still tracking. Where are we going with this? It's coming, but do a thumbs up. Let me know you're still with me. Graham would say like, share this to all your mamas, share this to anyone who works with young men. I think it is a needed issue that we need to address. So like, share, comment. If you have questions also, you can comment those in the comment section because again, I can't get to them on the live because I'm not very proficient at that yet, but if you leave them in the comment section, I can go back and look at those because those don't go away after the feed ends. And of course, you can always leave questions or DM me at Elissa. Okay, now let's make a shift here. Okay, we're going to shift. Scripture says in 1 Timothy 5:8, anyone who does not provide for their relatives has denied the faith. Okay, I'm shifting to kind of what a biblical man looks like. And there's a link, just stick with me. How do you provide? Who usually provides? Usually the man, right? Man of the home usually provides in a biblical way. All right. How do you provide? You work hard. This is usually modeled by your father, your granddad, a mentor, right? A coach, someone who instills work ethic in you, teaches you those principles, teaches you, if you're going to do a job, my dad, if you're going to do a job, do it right? Do it well the first time. All the things, like those are ingrained in you, just like please and thank you. You have to teach that. It is a skill to have good work ethic. Amen. Praise God. And honestly, if you have good work ethic these days, you'll probably go really far because that is continuing to go down the tube. And this may explain a lot of the reason why. So young men, we are seeing, have less and less of this, less and less role models, less and less fathers who are like fathers, right? In fact, you're seeing the opposite now. You're seeing immature boys getting stunted. They stop maturing. Then they become fathers, so they don't know how to respond. They don't know how to teach because they're stuck kind of in the same age as their child is mentally. And unfortunately, these are ones you see that become abusive. These are ones that you see just that aren't in the picture at all, or they're not there. They're dismissive, they're belittling, or they're just absent, right? And that's, worse. So instilling these values kind of is going out the window. And then you see what happens in real time. With no purpose, boys will find something to stimulate them. And now enters video games, now enters endless scrolling, now enters pornography, and now enters running with the wrong crowd, right? Because everybody is seeking, at the end of the day, validation, purpose. They're worth something. Someone sees me, and if I can't get it here, I'm going to go find it somewhere else. The flesh is always going to say, yeah, this feels good, right? Dopamine. This feels good. So why would I not go back to it? It makes no sense why you want me to stop gaming because I feel good. I feel like somebody in this game. I am a warrior, I'm a hero, or I have friends. Like people see me. So it makes sense why so many go to gaming. And again, that's when addiction can start to set in. We also are seeing a lack of guidance, which includes spiritual leaderships, emotional stability, and moral direction in the home. Typically, and again, this is very typical. I'm not saying this is every home, right? So go with me on that. But in a perfect world, if your son struggles with anger issues, then more than likely, probably dad struggled with anger issues. And who better to talk to him than dad to walk them through that? If your son struggles with anxiety, maybe dad does too. Who better to lead their son than their dad? You hear stories often of, this is our family's legacy, right? All the way back in the day, stories were passed down. This is your family. This is who you are. This is your legacy. And nowadays, you really don't hear about that a ton. We've tried to instill that, you're part of the Allen family. Like, this is your family. This is your unit. This is your history. We try to teach our children, this is where you came from. This is who you are. Does that make sense? And I feel like we aren't talking about that a lot, but they need that identity. Like, no, you can do hard things. You're an Allen. It's something as simple as saying, like, no, you're an Allen. Like, we don't lie. And just kind of, again, ingraining that, like you do please and thank you. Like, you are a part of something bigger than yourself, our family. And our family, for good or bad, right? We've made mistakes in our family. We don't sweep those under the rug. We talk about them. So I encourage you, if you don't do that, have that family, mantra or identity. Like, no, we're the Smiths. This is what we do. This is who we are. We work hard. We're kind. You walk them through that. That's a really good, easy step that you can take today and start instilling in your kids. All right. That's hopefully answered part of the question. We're going to make a hard shift again now into our modern systems and interacting with how they interact with our young men and how they actually are not helping our boys develop well. And this is a big one, okay? This is how are we contributing to the problem? How is society contributing to the problem? And I'm going to play this again. I'm going so fast. I'm checking my time because I'm already at 30 minutes. But I want you to watch this clip, and then we're going to talk about it.
Every one of those red dot maps is a unique IP address that is downloaded, shared, or distributing child rape images, almost all under the age of 12. And that's just a 6-month screenshot of it. And there are over 338,000 on there. There's blue dots on there. You can't really see them, but the blue ones are the ones that are under investigation.
In a sea of red.
Isn't that a problem of what we're talking about?
So this was Tim Tebow sharing these statistics with you. And yes, this is a huge problem. Again, I'm a justice girl. You need to round all these people up and they need to go to jail forever. But more concerning to me is that these men were once children. Okay, and children grow up. And you're right, they pick their own paths. So I can instill everything I want into my son, but when he leaves home, I will pray that I have instilled everything he needs, but he will make his own choices. He will decide if he has a relationship that continues to be strong with the Lord or if he doesn't, right? But there's so many. I am saying, what are we doing potentially that is adding to this growing epidemic of men who are not men, who are immature and now who are turning into monsters. These are monsters. This is not normal, nor should it ever be considered normal. Like, oh, well, that's just America of evil, gross men. How do we prevent it? I'm about prevention. How do we try? How do we try to stop it, right? Okay, so let's look at it. I think this does all tie together. Outside of men leading men well, outside of family systems being broke, outside of the addiction of gaming and social media, outside of all those things, what else has failed? And I would say the classroom has failed. The school system has failed. And I'm speaking about this as a mother in real time who Graham had to hold me back because we have done public school. We have done a version of private school. We've done Montessori, and then we ended up homeschooling. So I have had a taste of all these schools. I went to a private school with my son, and he is more impulsive, and he's a beautiful child. And I asked if he is more hyperactive than some, what would you do? And the teacher looked at me and said, oh, well, we would put him over here in this corner, and he would sit there until he could earn his freedom back to come and rejoin the class. And Grandpa had to hold me back. I immediately cut it off. I was kind of nice. And I was like, okay, thank you. Like, I don't need to see anything else. So your solution to my child, my beautiful boy, at the age of like 7, is to shun him, outcast him. I mean, it makes me almost want to cry just thinking about all these poor children. Put him in the corner. And then when he does what you ask, to be quiet, basically, to shut up, then he may earn his freedom and re-enter the class. And I was like, absolutely not. These children are beautiful. Like, absolutely not. What do you need to do differently, lady? Like, to encourage him, to pour into him, to speak life into him, instead of him just looking like he's a failure, which he's not. So we have had this battle in real time, and I see it, and I fight against it. So I'm going to show you this. This is Angel Studios. No, they don't pay me to show this.
Every
But-
one of those red dot maps is a unique
this is
IP
still Tim
address
Tebow.
that is downloaded, shared,
No,
or
Tim, we don't
distributed.
want you anymore. Okay. All right. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I think this is worth noting as we kind of look at the school systems and processing through this. Sorry, I got a little emotional there. Okay.
If you wanted to design a learning environment that was directly opposed to what the brain is naturally good at doing, you design a frickin' classroom.
Mass systems of public education that are compulsory do look remarkably like factory production and not at all
Isn't that interesting?
like the kind of organic ways that people actually grow and develop.
Education in America is like the prison system in America, like many institutions in America, is corrupt.
We will not walk away, not ever!
I'm about to go undercover.
Our money.
Where are the funds going? Where's all this money going to education?
I love the model right now of what the Satanic Temple is doing. That's a good model, please.
What they're doing is satanic. You're selling these children a lie.
About 6 months after the club meeting, she left us a suicide note because she did not know how to live in the body that God gave her.
The family unit has been under attack for a very long time.
But you gotta get to them first before to the parent. And this is what they want to give kids. I'm mutilated.
Who's running the show? And it does trickle back up to National Education Association or AFT. They will not relinquish their control.
They see it as an institution to indoctrinate kids into their worldview. They fight against parental rights every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
I'll give you a little secret lie that every president has.
All right, so that's just a taste of what that looks like. I encourage you to go watch it. It's a good documentary. It's on Angel Studios. I am not saying if you're a teacher and starting to get highly offended, we need good teachers more than ever because not everyone is going to homeschool. Not everyone has the financial ability to be able to send to a private school, which those can be just as bad, if not worse. P.S. We need good teachers to pour into our students. But parents, it is our job to protect our children and to fight against this. So whether your kid's in public school or not, we should be invested because this is our future generation. We should be speaking to this. And yeah, the school system is just failing us. I mean, it's common sense right at this point. And you can ask almost any teacher and they'll agree with you. Yeah, like we need movement in the classroom. And we see it starting to get that way, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. So again, that's from Angel Studios. You can watch it. It's a good documentary. We know that boys tend to learn through movement, exploration, competition, and physical activity, right? So running, climbing, building, testing limits, right? Riding four-wheelers way too fast. These aren't distraction for boys. They're actually how boys are hardwired. It's how they process the world around them. That's in their DNA. So many modern classrooms are structured for long periods of sitting quiet, being still, keeping your mouth shut, minimal movement. And the data shows that boys are struggling in this environment. And if you have a boy, you can be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for most boys. So this is a Jordan Peterson. Like him, don't like him, not the point. He does have good points, though, on on some things. And so here's what Jordan Peterson had to say.
Use amphetamines to conveniently modify the behavior of bored boys. Because we're too stupid to construct our education systems in a manner that doesn't drive them mad. The schools are not well adapted to boys. I don't think they're particularly well adapted to girls either, by the way. But they're particularly not well adapted to boys. Boys aren't designed to sit still and be bored out of their skulls for 7 hours a day. We use amphetamines.
So that's Jordan Peterson, and I completely agree with him because boys weren't designed this way. They were not designed this way, and I think 70%, if I remember correctly, of if you do like a nationwide survey or search, 70% of the disciplinary issues come from, guess who? Involving boys. Shocker. Boys are more likely to repeat grades. Boys are more likely to get into fights at school. Boys are more likely to have a diagnosis of ADHD. That's a whole other topic. Okay? Boys are more likely to have oppositional defiance disorder. Students who face suspension, expulsion. Guess where a majority of those are? Boys. Young boys generally have higher physical energy. We know this to be true if you're a mom of boys. It's a whole other world. I like the meme that's like, we're going on vacation. It's an 10-hour flight. And the boy mom was like, well, what are you taking? What are you going to do? A 10-hour flight with a 7-year-old? Like, how does that work? And she said, oh, we just give her a coloring book. She'll color for 10 hours and then we'll be there. What, like it's hard? The boy mom's like, oh. Because we just know most of the time that's just not how boys are hardwired. So when that energy has no healthy outlet, frustration and difficulty focusing usually increases. This makes sense. So sometimes what happens is a boy who is energetic, curious, and active gets labeled as disruptive. So instead of asking, how do we channel this energy productively, the system can respond with, sit still, shut up, be quiet, stop moving. And when boys hear that message loud enough, that their energy, their instincts, their drive are problems, many begin to internalize something very dangerous, that they themselves are the problem, that they themselves are the issue. And over time, that can lead to disengagement, that can lead to a lack of purpose, which is huge, anxiety, depression, resentment, an array of other issues. Some psychologists even describe a growing boy crisis where boys are falling behind academically and struggling with motivation and identity. If you are still with me in the chat, I'm going to wake you up. Let me know if you believe this is true. Throw some thumbs up in the flag like, yeah, I can totally see this being a problem. I see where you're going with this circle. Again, this is tip of the iceberg. And I'm trying to pack it all in here, but it's something I'm very passionate about. And so let me know if you're still with me. Throw me a thumbs up, like, share with other, your spouse, share with other moms, other husbands. Ooh, not other husbands. Don't have another husband. Share with other men who may work with youth, because again, it's a growing problem. So then society, what does society do? It later looks at outcomes like anger, anxiety, depression, controlling behaviors, and wonder, where did we go wrong? Many experts say part of the answer is that we've created environments that misunderstand how boys develop. So what do? Our job as parents, as caregivers, as grandparents, as someone who works with young men, is to help boys mature through responsibility, challenges, mentorship, and purpose. Everyone needs purpose. We know that boys tend to mature when 4 things are present. So I'm going to walk through these 4 things. And whether you're a single parent or not, you can do these things to help raise healthy and mature boys. And that, at the end of the day, besides our relationship with God, this is what we want for our men. 1 is you need to educate them. It may be 5. I threw in educate. But please, psychoeducation is huge. You need to tell them if they have ADHD, hey, you're not bad for having ADHD. In fact, it's your superpower, right? You are able to really zone in and focus on this one thing that you are passionate about, and it's amazing. And they learn everything about that one thing. It is honestly fascinating, their brains. And yes, it may be more hard in some areas, but we'll work through that. We're not labeling you as a disruptive or impulsive child. This is just how your brain functions. So talk to your kids about their own brain, educate them. And framing matters. Also, this is a side note, please don't ever label a child. I went to the World Mental Health Conference for therapists and like drug counselors, and different counselors were there. Vanderkolk, who actually helped write the DSM, the original DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for all mental health disorders, he actually helped write it. Okay, he was there, and he was wonderful. And he gave a speech, and I never cuss, so turn it down. I never cuss, but I'm going to quote you what he said. Okay, and this is a quote. He literally said about the thing that he helped write, okay, quote, "It's bullshit." Okay, that's a quote. I'm sorry, I never cuss, but I feel like right now it was pertinent. Why would I say that? Because the DSM was never meant to label children. It was meant as a tool to help doctors, therapists, psychologists, like, okay, here is what we see. These are commonalities. Here's how we help. But instead, and these are his words, it is turned into, like everything else, a money-making machine. We need to label them, diagnose them, get paid through insurance, get paid however we can, and move on. That was never the intention of the DSM, okay? And I think that's really important if you have a child who has ADHD or been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, whatever. That is not who they are, okay? We all struggle with something. And they need to know that does not define them. We are not labeling you. You are a human. And so that is one of the things that burns me up about some therapists is, well, honestly, it's a money-making machine. Vanderkolk said it best. But that was never the intention. It was supposed to be a tool. Okay, so let's get back on topic. How do we help this crisis? First, real responsibility. So it doesn't look like just chores. Young men need real responsibility. What does that look like? Have them contribute in your home. If they're a teenager, have them actually fix something. Have them help build something, right? Let them be a contributing member of the home, not just a clean your room and we're done. Tell them, like, you can tell them, sure, clean your room, but hey, you're a part of this family. You're a part of this family unit. We need you to clean your room. We need you to be a responsible, teen, whatever you want to say. But have them actually do something, like, have them serve. Have them contribute. Let them be a part of the family unit, of your church family, whatever it looks like. Get them involved. Put real responsibility on them, not just take out the trash. And you may have to think through, what does that look like for your child? And that's okay. Let them know that they meaningfully impact your family. Second, physical challenge and activity. Okay, not every child loves sports. Lord knows, I have one who absolutely adores sports, one who does not love sports that much. And usually the ones who are not super athletic or the ones who don't love sports, usually, not always, are the ones who end up going to like gaming, right? Because that's where they find their community, okay? They don't have to love sports, but physical activity and movement is very, very, very important. So what does that look like? Go to the gym with them. Get a gym membership. Do it together. And you say, oh, I hate the gym. So do I. Me too, okay? But sorry, you're called to be parents. And parenting isn't always easy. In fact, most of the time, it's incredibly hard to do. Just move with them. Go on a walk the dogs. Create new patterns where they are able to move. Get them out of the house, okay? My son loves fishing. Just something that is outside, physical, that's moving. Oh, I want to do a caveat here too. If you are putting your child in every sport known to man, and this is not a, baseball moms, don't get mad at me. Travel ball moms, don't get mad at me. I'm not saying don't do travel ball, but I am saying if every single day they go to school and then they have practice until late at night, and then they get home and they want a game or they want to be with their friends or, whatever the situation, you have church on Sunday, church on Wednesday, you may want to look at your schedule, right? This thing keeps falling out of my ear. You may want to look at your schedule, because if you are not the person who's pouring into your child's life the most, then I would take a step back, because you need to be the primary influence in your child's life, not left up to a Sunday school teacher, not left up to a coach, not left up to a teacher or anyone else. You need to make time. You make time for what matters. And especially as they are getting older, especially if they leave the house at 18, you only have so many years. And you need to realize that, because I have blinked and my child is fixing to be 16, which is crazy. So look at your schedule and make sure that you are making time to be a family, because that's what matters the most, is you pouring into your child. Okay. Third, clear boundaries and structure. Limits are important, and this makes it hard because you want your kids to like you. Usually, I know I do. You want your kids to like you, to be friends with you, but that's not what you were called to be. You were called, again, to raise your children in discipline, raise your children in love, raise them to be thriving adults who impact society in a meaningful way, who are fulfilled, who have joy. Is that not what we as parents want? Who have a strong relationship with Jesus, who we know when we send them out, they will look to Jesus in hard moments, and he will not let them fail. That's what we hope we instill in them. And again, children go their own way, right? They make those decisions, but it's our job to put them in those environments and to speak life into them, to give them the best chance, right? So limits are important. What does that look like? It could be 2 hours of gaming every night. Hey, it's a school night. You can have from 7 to 9, 8 to 10, whatever your family system is that works, 3 hours on the weekend. That's what we do. Just being honest. Our internet, I don't know if y'all know this tidbit, but our internet actually gets cut off at 10 o'clock every night, and on the weekends, 11 o'clock every night. And you can't get on the internet. So they have really cool control systems now through your router, but also through, I know a lot of people who use Bark. I know a lot of people who use different iPhones have like a setting on them. So it may just be you saying, okay, today's the day. I need to get on top of this. So do it, because you will not regret it. You need those limits. They need boundaries. They need structure. We don't have TVs in any of their rooms. Again, the internet goes off. So boys need structure and limits and strong guidance. So these are things that you can immediately set into place that are just, and they may hate you for a couple days. Honestly, like they're going to be mad, especially if you don't have boundaries in the first place. Like reestablishing a boundary is always hard. But if you are consistent, I guarantee that they will fall in line, they'll get it, and it will be okay. I encourage you there. I promise, because I've been there. Okay, I've been there where they are very angry at me. But again, like a lot of the moms say, hey, if that's when you grow up, if that's the worst thing you can say is that I was just too strict, then I'm okay with that. And you should be okay with that too. So limits and boundaries are incredibly important. Explain why. Don't just say, we're taking away your internet and gaming and your phone. Like that doesn't work. You need to explain. They may still hate you. They probably will. But at least you are doing your part of explaining, hey, this is why it's unhealthy for your brain. Explain to them. Show them videos. Encourage them to research. That's what I did. Hey, look up, is social media good for you? Our kids do not have social media. Like, look up, is social media good for you? Look up different things and ask ChatGPT, and it'll say, no, it is not. Time for gaming. Tell them to look it up. Do their own research, because they're only going to find what I'm telling you. And again, they may hate you for it for a minute, but you are protecting their brain, and that is so much more important than them liking you in the moment. Consistency, again, is key. Fourth, purpose. The sense that their life matters and contributes to something bigger than themselves. Everyone is seeking purpose in life. It's how we are hardwired. They play pretend when they're on gaming, or even when they're little. What do they want to be? They want to be the hero. They want to be the warrior. Gaming invites them into these scenarios where they can be the hero, or they can be the warrior. They can fight, to save the day. It also obviously invites a lot of people in who are pouring into their lives that are not you, which should be very scary to you. And honestly, it's making them lazy, right? We don't want a generation of men who are addicted to gaming. They don't make good spouses, okay? So we have to monitor this. Being bored is actually proven to be really good for your brain. Sorry if you're bored and you can't game right now. This is your window. Stick to it. If you're still with me, give me a thumbs up. I feel like I might be losing some people. Stay with me. We're almost done. All right. If you go back to those 4 things, they all communicate a powerful message to a boy. You're capable, you're needed, and your life matters. And when boys believe that, they tend to rise to it. They surprise you, right? So I want you to watch this video on purpose. I think it's a really good one. And it just talks about how, in the context, there we go. In the context, I'm putting it in the context of young boys.
Of your life. Matter of fact, I would even say to those in the room who are raising children right now, that instead of asking your child what they want to be when they grow up, you ought to be asking them, hey, I wonder what it is that God created you to be. What's your purpose in life?
That's the sound of an American oil company.
I loved that.
Hard at work.
Because it is, again, asking, what is your purpose? Who did God create you to be? God gave you certain gifts, passions, talents. God gave those to you so you can have a lane in your life that that aligns with your spiritual gifts. And when we learn about what those are, what is your direction in life? This should be exciting. This is a journey. It's very rarely like, oh, God wants me to be a teacher. It's usually a journey. And that should be exciting. It's a grand adventure, your life, right? And sometimes if you're miserable, it may be because you are trying to live someone else's life or go in their lane when it was never your lane to go in. Stay, where did God want you? Where does he want you? And when you're talking in this way, and when you're talking to them every day, you're inspiring them. You're having them think, this is what we want for our young men, is it not? So they need to know there is purpose, that they were knit together in the mother's womb for a reason. We're not just throughout life. Yeah, we have an 8-to-5 job, which is kind of what school teaches. Get out of college, get a job, maybe get married. It's not even pushed these days anymore, marriage. Maybe have some kids. And yeah, you're kind of miserable. That's not the life God created for you, for any of you, for those watching right now. Again, that goes back to dream again. So encourage you, if you aren't, you need to dream because they will model after you. So you need to be excited and engaged in life again, and then bring them with you. All right. So teenage boys often are told constantly what they're doing wrong. Remember to tell them what they do right. What is that saying? I can tell you 9 good things about yourself, but if I give you 1 negative, what are you going to focus on? The 1 negative. So make sure you are talking to them and instilling a lot of what they do right. Who made them? How God did not make a mistake just because of A, B, C, or D. How you can go through hard things because you're an Allen. Make sure you are uplifting them. Okay. What else do we know? I am almost done because I have 5 minutes. We're going to fly through this. Like, share, comment. Hey, I'm getting better. Are you still with me? Thumbs up. Okay, what else do we know? We know that joy is what every single brain, yours, mine, we know that joy is what we seek, what brains seek. And you can give that to your boys. So every human brain is constantly seeking joy. Not just happiness, that's fleeting, but the deeper sense of connection and delight that tells us we are safe, loved, and seen. So one of the biggest dopamine hits that you can do is connect with your children before bed. Whether they're little, whether they're older, doesn't matter. You can connect with them right before bed. So children are especially wired for this because their brains are always asking, am I loved? And do I matter to the people who care about me? So one of the biggest things you can do, it's not a speech at the end of the day. It's a very tangible thing that you can do. And it is simply before bedtime, look at your child and say, I'm really glad to be with you. No matter what happened today, I love you. I'm really glad to be with you. No matter what happened today, I love you. It can be as simple as that. And that is a dopamine hit for your child's brain. So I'd highly encourage you. You can say it in your own words, whatever, but in that moment, that connection, it just relays to them that you are safe, you are loved, despite anything that happened that day. So that means even if you had a fight, even after frustration, even when you're like you're driving me crazy, kid, and you say that, or you snap in the car, no matter what, this one thing you can do before bed helps you to connect with your children and help wire that brain that they are safe, they are loved no matter what, and they are seen by you. That one little thing. So incorporate that if you can into your nighttime routine, even if they're teenagers. And they'll be like, oh, Mom. Like, who cares? Like, hey, I'm proud of you. There's another one we don't say enough. So again, joy doesn't mean the day was perfect. Most days are not. Joy means the relationship is secure, AKA no matter what you did today, no matter how much I wanted to pop your little head off, I love you. And that's important because, again, this is when boys are learning who they are. How do they fit into the world? These are teenage years. And so you need to be modeling this for them. And guess what? They're going to become dads. And I sure hope that they treat the grandchildren, my grandchildren, how I would want to be treated. So that just reassures them at the end of the day that you're delighted to be with them. And hey, extra tidbit, you could probably say it to your spouse too. Maybe in a little different way, but you know. All right, so again, this is all tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that goes into this. I could not possibly do this all in one episode, but I was trying to correlate, right? The growing problem, what is dopamine, how gaming ties into that, and then ways that you can start to create new healthy family system patterns. And that usually means if you're married, talk to your spouse. You have to be on the same page. If you're not married, start thinking through, start your own research. Okay, what are things I can tangibly put into place? Don't go too extreme. Don't be like, I'm removing all cell phones. Okay, don't go too extreme. Take a couple days, pray about it, think about it, because the key is consistency. So if you can't stay consistent, it's not gonna work. So think about ways and things you can tangibly do to pour into your child. Think about, okay, they game too much. I see that. How do I need to pull that back some? How do I need to put safeguards in place? Like we turn our internet off. Super easy because we don't have to worry about what they're doing. It all just goes down. Think about ways you can safeguard against that. And also, if you're listening and you're a healthy man, you can really make a difference because this generation is very lost. So we don't have enough healthy men who are leading our men. So I encourage you to step up to the plate. Please. We need you. They really need someone to push them, to pour into them, to speak life over them. We do not have enough of those. The world needs moms, dads, caregivers, aunts, uncles. We need to raise up a generation of godly men who are strong enough to protect and humble enough to serve, disciplined enough to lead, and wise enough to follow God. So when someone asks me what's my greatest ministry, I'm always going to say my children. Not because I'm better than you and because, that's just what you're supposed to say as a mom. No, because I genuinely believe that is your greatest ministry. Who else? Who else is going to raise up a generation? You are. Your mom, your dad. God didn't make mistakes. He put you in your child's life for a reason. And you'd be like, oh man, I'm a mess. Okay, then get yourself to therapy, break your generational cycles, get healthy, start now, and model what it should look like. You say it's too late. It is never too late. It's not. Start now, start today. That's my challenge for you for this week. Because this generation, our children, they need it. These kids need it. All right, so that is my nugget for this episode. Hey, I did it. You have any questions, please leave a comment. Again, it really helps me out. And I will actually be able to go back and read your comments again, because they stay there forever. Obviously, you can write me Elissa Allen on Instagram, and I can answer those as well. That was my nugget and question, really long form today. But again, I think it was really important. I think I need to ask Graham, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be 7 o'clock again next week. So you can tune in then. And yeah, I appreciate all of you listening. I hope you got some nugget out of today that you can go back and start implementing in your family unit. I have so much more. We may have to make this like a series because I have so much more that I want to share about the brain and about our youth. But hopefully, again, you can take a little bit of that nugget and carry it with you this week and start actually putting things into practice. It does no good to hear me say these things if you're not going to put anything into practice. So please put it into practice and then let me know how it goes. If you have questions while you're trying to do that, I am happy to try to help walk you through that. So let me know. Ask your questions. That's why I'm here. So again, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope y'all have a great night. I hope we are not sick next week, so I don't lose my mind, and we can leave the house. Praise the Lord. And I hope your family stays well. I am praying, as I do every week, I pray right before the show and right after the show for favor on you, and that something I've said will land and stick with you. And so just know that you are prayed over and that you are loved and that you are seen. And again, if you have any questions, all you have to do is